After the first three Spyro games, which were okay, I guess, Insomniac Games decided to move on from the Spyro franchise and went on to develop Resistance, Ratchet and Clank, Sunset Overdrive, and more games and franchises. Meanwhile, the first three Spyro games ended up becoming popular among gamers filled with 90s nostalgia. Universal, however, held onto the rights to the Spyro franchise, and after handing the rights to other developers, the Spyro franchise took a massive nosedive, similar to that of the Sonic series. Spyro Enter the Dragonfly was notably panned by numerous people, with the founder of Insomniac Games even panning it. It also became a favorite game among every single angry reviewer on YouTube. Afterwards, the Spyro series never recovered, with numerous forgivable titles being released until around 2006, when the series was rebooted with the Legend of Spyro trilogy. It had three games released in it, with the last one being released in 2008 as The Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon. One of my motivations for reviewing this installment in particular is how expensive it is on the used market. You see, for some reason this game has become one of the most expensive games on the Xbox 360 and PS3 that doesn't have Ultra Extreme Platinum Collector's Edition in the title. Even though the Xbox 360 version costs $20 on Games on Demand, the on-disc version costs around $30 to $50 used. The PS3 version, on the other hand, costs $40 to $60 used, since it lacks a PSN release. Both next-gen versions are $45 at GameStop as well. Now, I'm curious about what the reason for this is. I mean, after all, the only other old games this expensive at GameStop on the 360 are NCAA Football 14, World of Outlaws Sprint Car Racing, and MLB 2K13. Those are easy to explain since they were the last in their genre on the 360, and there's still enough demand for a newer sports title with the same concept. I mean, just look at how NCAA 14 still has plenty of demand for it, despite being the last NCAA football game released on consoles due to, contracts and everything. However, with this game, there has to be something keeping it demand. And I think the best way to find out what this is to actually play this game. So let's find out if this game is any good. So The Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon is, well, kind of over the top for a Spyro game. The storyline is very confusing and hard to follow, especially for a kid's game. And if anything, it reminds me of the Sonic the Hedgehog series with an over-the-top storyline that drags on and on and on. Honestly, who cares anyway? It's a game about a talking purple dragon. The gameplay is your typical action-adventure game, but with a few bits of the LEGO platforming games thrown in. You get two characters you can choose from and switch to when you want. Spyro and Edgy Rule 63 Spyro, also known as Cinder. You can also play this game with a second player in a co-op mode. I only played this game single player, and I heard co-op mode in this game is pretty bad. Anyways, the gameplay in this game is pretty basic. You walk through the level attacking enemies by mashing a few buttons. The gameplay isn't quite good or bad, it's just okay. And then you find yourself having to explore the levels, and that's where the game really starts to get bad and struggles. The levels are very confusing, and you'll find yourself lost in them easily, since there are no maps or waypoints telling you where to go. You'd think a game marketed as a family game would include these, but not Spyro. Oh no, instead you have to try to find your way and spend a long time playing just to find out where to go next. There's literally nothing to guide you whatsoever. It's an open world-ish map with no directions. You'll feel like you're lost in the maps for hours trying to find out where to go next. Sure, Spyro can fly, but it seems like the developers of this game never played many modern games, so they decided to simply make it like older platformers where you had to find the goal, except usually it was blatantly obvious and at the end of a linear level. You'll be trying to find what triggers the next cutscene or the end of the level. The graphics in this game are alright, but what really hurts the game are the severe framerate drops this game has. Especially in a more open map, the game will tank and run badly, and I mean, it'll feel like it's running at 20 frames per second, sometimes even 10 or 15. It's blatantly obvious that this was a cross-gen game, and it shows especially when compared to games like, say, Sonic Unleashed, which came out that same year, or even Halo 3, which came out the year before. The only real thing that stands out in this game is the soundtrack, which is some big orchestra-style music that's more fit for a Hollywood blockbuster action movie than for a cartoony platformer. Then again, this whole direction for the art and graphics and aesthetic and everything seems a bit too much for a kid's platformer. All in all, I have no idea why this game costs $45 at least used. I mean, the gameplay would have been just okay, but holy crap, the fact that you get lost so easily just pisses me off. It makes the game go from just being an okay game to frustrating and excessively boring as you waste your life away holding an Xbox controller trying to find out where to go next in a talking dragon platformer game for kids. It's not enough to keep anyone over the age of 12 preoccupied, yet alone little Jimmy. Is there any reason to play this game at all? I mean, if you have higher standards than being some loser in mom's basement who only plays games because they have anthropomorphic animals in them, then there is no reason to play this game. Just play any other game, and chances are they're cheaper than $45 too. That's all that needs to be said. Thanks for watching, and subscribe for more.